Good evening, afternoon, morning, night, noon, whenever you find your way to see this. It is me, Omar, again, and Jackson, the graduate now. We have another college graduate on the podcast. He's back with us. Yeah, Jackson. I mean, it's been a while. Any wise words from the graduate before we begin?
Not at all. Not at all. Just that be like our guest today and go to all the sporting events you can, because my first time seeing campus was at graduation being online. So definitely if you're able to, definitely go to those, 'cause that's a lot more fun. So yeah, but that's it. So
Wise words indeed. And you could say that you got the bread in getting your diploma. And
Well,
it's funny to say get the bread. Yeah, because we have our guest, a man who's known well in college football circles. And if you don't, shame on you. If you don't know him, shame on you. We have Dac, the San Jose State Duck, who has been at these sporting events watching the Spartans get their bread. So Dac, you have any opening things to say?
I'm just saying that thanks for having me. It's kind of crazy how this little silly idea spiraled into, just talking to a bunch of people and meeting a lot of people around the country. So yeah, thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. I mean, we're thrilled to have you on, honestly. And I mean, we're trying to make a fun your podcast too. I mean, I guess like lay off on the seriousness till the college football season, the award show, which I mean, we have jokes sprinkled in anyway. But I mean, we're glad to have you on. I mean, my dad's from Monterey, so I mean, I'm a little bit of a San Jose State fan. The 2020 run was pretty cool to see for me and my dad. But yeah, I mean, we're excited to have you on. So Jackson, you have anything to add before we actually begin?
not at all. Just excited to get stuff going. And I was saying last night, like, man, I love this time of year, but there's really like nothing going on. There's no real like news out there. And so it's a kind of like time to like step back and like either reflect on the more, serious side of like, trying to figure out big picture stuff, and the opportunity to do fun stuff like this where we get Dac on, because he's not, going every night to a SGSU sporting event. So it's good that we can catch him on this time of year.
Absolutely. So I guess we're gonna begin our podcast, Dak, by just I guess discussing your journey to being a San Jose State fan, whether you're a lifelong fan, and then how the Duck thing came to be, and just I guess the whole trajectory up to today.
Whew, that's gonna be a long story. So, I'm not, in fact, a lifelong SJSU fan. I've only become an SJSU fan because I've got here at SJSU. Um, in all honesty, I was actually a Nebraska fan for my entire life because I live about 9 years of my life in the state of Nebraska. I know that's surprising. Like, you don't really meet much people from that state. So, yeah, just growing up in Nebraska, of course, college football and college sports, college athletics has just been a big part of my life. The support over there is crazy, just going to every single event. And in all honesty, there's nothing else to do over there. So it's pretty much the only thing to do is, support the team, the Cornhuskers. So that's basically where my love for college sports began, just in the state of Nebraska. So college football has definitely been a big part of my life. So of course, I played football throughout high school as well. So, but I moved here to California around middle school, and even when I moved here, I still wasn't familiar with the SJSU community and like the program itself. So I really didn't do any much research until the 2020 season, when I was actually looking for college. Like, I have to submit my college application, doing all that type of stuff. And I saw SJSU was actually doing pretty well. So I started watching them on TV a lot. And that's the year when they won the championship, when they went 7-0 during the regular season and won the Mountain West Championship. And I did more research, and I found out that they weren't a pretty good, the history of the program was not that good. I was looking at like their past records, I believe. Hold on. Let me pull it up. I believe like 2017, 2018, 2019, it was like 2-11, 1-11, 5-7. I was like, dang, they they did not do good prior to this year, and all of a sudden they exploded and won the title. I was like, dang, that's pretty rough. But anyway, going fast forward to my SJC story. So I arrived on campus at fall of 2021 after a long application process for college and stuff like that. And the Duck idea didn't really come around until October of that semester. So of course, I'll just talk about how I got to the Duck thing. So October, of course, is the Halloween month. So it was early into October. I think it was like October 3rd, October 4th. And I was just debating, like, dang, should I dress up for Halloween? Because like I'm a college student. I don't know if we still do that type of stuff. I was like, you know what? I'll just buy this duck mask on Amazon because I like ducks. I've always had a connection with ducks because like part of my name, you have to pronounce the word duck to pronounce my entire full name. But yeah, so yeah, so I bought a duck mask from Amazon. It arrived, I believe, October 10th, and I just had this random idea with my roommate. He was like, actually, yeah, it was my roommate who basically put forward the idea. He was like, "Hey, why don't you wear that duck mask to the football game?" That was the most random idea ever because, first of all, we're the San Jose State Spartans, not the San Jose State Ducks. So it just came out of nowhere. And I was like, you know what? I'll do it. I'll just have some fun in the student section because, yeah, we actually get good attendance for our student section, but they're not as lively as I want them to be. You know, they're usually there just to talk with their friends and they're not actually there paying attention to the game. So that was kind of ticking me off. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I could follow in the footsteps of Crazy George and like, you know, try to hype up the crowd a little bit. And maybe this duck mask will be the key to my success. So yeah. And it was a perfect opportunity too, because it was a Friday night game. We were hosting San Diego State, who was a top 25 team. I believe it was on CBS Sports Network too. So it was just a big opportunity for just me to grow immediately. So of course the game started. I put my mask on. The people around me in my section were just, I don't know, like it was a mix of reaction. They were surprised, they were terrified. It was the funniest thing ever. But yeah, I put the mask on, and then I just had a blast throughout the entire game. I got on TV a couple times. If you see my if you see my Zoom picture, yep, that's the first ever SJSU Duck screenshot right there. And that was on CBS Sports Network, so shout out to them. But yeah, ever since that Halloween game, I was like, you know what, this is kind of fun. So I made a social media account after that, SJSU Duck, and like on Instagram and Twitter were the first two accounts to pop up. So yeah, I made those that like night after the game because yeah, the game ended at like 11:30 local time. It was crazy. It was an overtime game. It was low scoring as well. It was kind of boring, but getting past that point, yeah, I created that account and I did not know it was going to grow into what it was as it now because the athletes, especially them, they liked it because I followed all the athletes and they're like, you know what? Why don't you show up to our games? So basically, what happened was all these athletes just they liked it. They asked me to show up to the games and support. And ever since then, I've been going to as many SJSU events as I could to support the Spartans. And yeah.
And I love that you just took it and started off of the success from that first night and then really capitalized on that. So good on you for finding that, man. Yeah, you're right. It has grown to a lot more than I think anyone would anticipate if they wore a duck mask to a sporting event. So good on you with that. Omar, I thought that we were doing like complete like nerdy like football stuff. So I've got a nerdy football question. So I look like an idiot.
Let me hear it.
Dac, I wanted to ask you, it's a little bit odd looking at San Jose State's schedule. Their bye week is actually going to be September 17th. Do you like the opportunity to escape the heat and recover after the road game to Auburn, or do you kind of wish it was later in the year, like it's more traditional?
I kind of wish it was later in the year, so our players could actually have that rest. I really don't know how the players feel about that. I haven't asked enough. And I haven't talked to a bunch of people in the program, but just playing football myself, I would personally like to have that later in the year, maybe like mid season or kind of in that later half of the year. But it is what it is. We can't really control what it is. But a good thing it's after that Auburn game because of course we know SEC football. You know they have that. Yeah. It's at that higher level, so maybe we'll give our players a rest before heading into that tough stretch of games after that.
Jackson, I didn't mean to make you look bad. I mean, we're still going to talk about our fair share of nerdy stuff.
You're good, man. I'm just messing with you.
I know. I mean, that's a great point, Dac, about the bye week coming later on, honestly. And I mean, I guess it's interesting too. I guess after playing SEC football with that grind, you kind of want that bye week, even though as much as I hate to admit it, the SEC is a tough conference. You know, me and Jackson have our quarrels about the SEC and conferences. But yeah, I mean, that will be an interesting game for sure. I guess I want to throw in too. I guess so. You mentioned 2020 season. 2020 season was a fun one for Jackson and I as we covered that year for our hardware podcast. And early on, we saw San Jose State. I think it was like the third week of the season where they beat San Diego State in 2020, and we kind of realized, hey, this team's kind of for real. Like honestly, like this team has a chance to win this Mountain West. And heck, I mean, call it what you will. I know other teams in the Mountain West, maybe the Boise States, the San Diego States will call it a Mickey Mouse title. I mean, for those of our listeners that will listen to that, watch, the NBA or the MLB with the Mickey Mouse Lakers and Dodgers titles, but I don't consider it that at all. It was a fun year. It was electrifying seeing Bailey Gaither, Trey Walker, and Nick Starkel. I mean, all do their thing, honestly. So honestly, one of my favorite conference championship runs, honestly, of all time. With that question, I want to say is like Nick Starkel recently had tryouts with I think the Jets and the Cowboys. Do you see Nick Starkel getting a chance in the NFL or either the USFL, my favorite spring league, or the XFL, Jackson's favorite spring league?
I really wish that he does get an opportunity with like any professional squad, because everybody on the forum says that he has like an NFL ready arm. He's got plenty of throw power. I think it's just that the decision making that, of course, all SJSU fans nitpick at. So, we'll see what he does. I remember he posted something on Twitter asking for like, I think he posted something on Twitter talking about a non-playing coaching role in sports. He linked his LinkedIn or something like that, and it's kind of upsetting to see that he was kind of, I don't know if I wouldn't necessarily say giving up on his football dreams, but just putting his name out there outside of football. But I really do hope that he does get an opportunity at professional football, whichever it's NFL, XFL, USFL, and yeah, I would personally, I would like to see him play in the USFL as well, because of course we got Trey Walker and Bailey Gaither out there already. Some SJSU boys also throwing boogie, but yeah, I think he does deserve an opportunity in the next level. So that's personally my take.
I will say this. Yeah. I mean, anytime a fellow Justin Bieber fan gets a chance at the next level, I'm all here for it. So I'll take it to Jackson.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know if that's the reason that I'm hoping he gets a shot, but yeah, definitely polling for him to hopefully get a shot. Hopefully in the NFL, right? A lot of revolving doors happen in July and August as we approach the preseason and training camp and all that. But yeah, we'll see. Dac, you mentioned you grew up loving ducks, so I gotta ask, who's your favorite cartoon duck? Are you more a Daffy Duck kind of guy, more of a Huey, Dewey, Louie guy? Like, what's your go-to for cartoon ducks?
That's a good question. I never really thought about that. I just looked at I treated all ducks equally. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, Daffy Duck was annoying sometimes, but I definitely saw him pop up on my TV the most. So I guess you could say Daffy. And then later on, of course, DuckTales came out. So that started getting like the DuckTales, like what's that thing called? The theme, whatever it's called. Like that started getting stuck in my head too. So I don't have a specific favorite duck. I just know that Daffy Duck was definitely on my TV a lot. So
I have a feeling if we looked at your, Disney Plus, continue watching, probably a lot of duck themed shows on there. It's my guess. I don't know. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Jackson, I know you being a big Disney guy, you got to bring up, cartoon ducks into this, whether it be Daffy or, all the DuckTales too. In fact, I mean, for those of you, I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast, but Jackson convinced my sister to plan a Disney World trip 5 years in advance, which I'm upset about, but I mean, it is what it is. So with that being said, I guess going back to football too is like the original reason I wanted you on the podcast, Dac. We wanted you on the podcast as as a Holy Cross fan. I saw that my beloved Crusaders scheduled a game out in San Jose in 2029. And I mean, shoot, we're talking about a blue chip program here, a team looking for their fourth straight conference title. I don't even think Alabama can claim that in this decade. But anyway, I'll let you go, Jackson.
Can I just speak to the irony of you like making fun of planning a Disney trip 5 years in advance, and then immediately you go into, well, about 2029 Holy Cross San Jose State. Like, come on, man.
Jackson, I'm a
Bad
football
timing.
guy. I'm not a Disney guy. I'm a football guy. I'm not a Disney guy. But yeah, okay. All irony aside, yeah, 2029, Holy Cross coming to San Jose State. And in essence, that's a bit of a bore hobble because I lived in Worcester for 10 years. My dad, born in Monterey, a big San Jose State fan. What do you think of attracting a program the caliber of Holy Cross? I mean, I think this would be the first time that San Jose State hosts a team that appeared in the Orange Bowl. Granted, that Orange Bowl appearance was in 1946, but it's still an Orange Bowl appearance.
I should have done my research because, bro, like, of course, I've heard of Holy Cross. The only thing I've known about them is that they're up in the East Coast somewhere. I have a couple of friends that actually go there because, of course, I'm a big gamer, so I know a lot of people from the other side of the United States. So should have done my research on Holy Cross. I just know that they're a pretty good program. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they made the FCS. What is that? The championship thing? What is that called?
Yeah, they made the playoffs. They won their first playoff game in I think 4 tries this year in a thriller against Sacred Heart, which they should have beat Sacred Heart by more. And then they lost narrowly to Villanova the next week, who out of the CAA, of course, consistently one of the best conferences in the FCS. But yeah.
I got you. So it seems like it's not going to be a cakewalk at all. And I believe we're paying you guys like 450,000 or something for that single game, if I remember correctly from when you look. Yeah, I think it is 450,000 we're going to be paying y'all to come visit at San Jose for that year. So should be an interesting one. Of course, I don't know how our recruiting is going to turn out, and of course the middle schoolers that are playing in that game are just chilling in class right now. So really depends. I don't know how that game will turn out. Of course, I think it's still too early to actually give a preview of that game. So, but I think it's actually great that we're going to have an FCS program that has a lot of, I think, a lot of history, a lot of recent success as well, to come over to San Jose State. So
maybe the most recent Orange Bowl champions, Georgia Bulldogs, will only do it for 400. So,
golly. I wish we play. I don't know if I wish we played Georgia. That would be an opportunity to get SJC on the national stage, but I don't know how that will turn out for us, to be honest with you.
Oh man, no, that's awesome. I gotta ask. So there's another UNLV San Jose State Friday night game that I believe, Dac, you would know better than me. I forgot to write it down about the time of year that is. Is it in September? I can't remember.
For next season?
Right.
I think it's October.
Oh, it's October. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha. I didn't think it was
October.
November. But man, Friday night game on the eve of a college football Saturday. Tell America why they should stay up for a 10:30 Eastern time kickoff for San Jose State UNLV.
I mean, as cliche as it sounds, I like to say in Mountain West football, anything can happen. It's just, I remember they have these little things on, I think, CFB Reddit, where they're talking about the San Jose State test or the San Jose test or the Hawaii test or whatever, where it's like everybody who's actually, says that they're a college football fan at least has to stay up and watch one of those late games on the West Coast. And yeah, I believe the kickoff time is 10:30 Eastern, so that's going to be quite the thing. And I remember that was the same kickoff time for the San Diego State game last year. So I just wish that they'd stay up with us. We don't know how, of course, that season will turn out, but I guarantee you something is going to happen that you'll never see before. And that always happens with those late Mountain West games, in my opinion. So
I'll do my best to stay up on the East Coast for that late kickoff. I will say, man, you're not the first. I think it was Kirk Herbstreit when he first started out at ESPN. He got put on the Mountain West Thursday night games, and at first was like, really? Like the Mountain West is what I've got to do? And then he went back and said hey, these guys can play. This is good football. And no one would be like, this was before Kirk was Kirk as we think of him now. It's like, oh yeah, okay, that's cool. It was like, no, they really can play. Watch. So man, if you actually don't judge it until you actually stay up to watch it. Maybe you need to have For me, it'd be about my sixth coffee of the day at that point. But hey, maybe you need to grab yourself a little bit of caffeine to stay up, but it's definitely worth the watch at least a handful of times a year. Maybe you can't do it every Friday and Saturday, but at least a few times a year if you're stuck on the East Coast. Definitely make sure to take the time to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Like I don't know. Like, yeah, even back when I was a Nebraska fan, when I was in my younger days back living in that state, I remember I'd always be, sitting in front of the television late at night. My dad would be trying his best to get me to sleep, and I'd always be watching that random Hawaii or Fresno State game, or just the random Mountain West game that was on. I don't even think it was CBS at that time. I forgot what channel it was, but oh man, it's quite the experience. I definitely say if you love college football, definitely just watch it. And I think that late night game kind of got a bad rep after that San Jose State versus San Diego State game, because a lot of people woke up and saw the score line and they're like, oh, they only scored 6 points each during regulation. That was probably a boring game. It was not a boring game at all. I think it was one of the most entertaining games of the year, in my opinion. But no, I can't speak for everybody else, but I highly recommend staying up, watching at least one Mountain West game at night. And yeah, because that I think ESPN has that thing called Pac-12 after dark. I got no idea what they call Mountain West at midnight or something, but it's what it is. I hope y'all stay along with me, and heck, maybe you could catch me on TV as well. So play that, like, what's that thing called? Where's Waldo? Just find the duck in the audience, something like that.
Omar, referring back to one of our earlier podcasts, be a man, turn off Saturday Night Live, and put on Mountain West after midnight or whatever it's called. So do that.
Absolutely. I mean, shoot, it's easy for me here being on the Mountain Time Zone in El Paso. Definitely a perk here. I don't mind waking up at 9:30 a.m. to catch, big noon kickoff. That's the one drawback, but the late games are great. I will say, you mentioned or last year's San Diego State game. I mean, that game was like electric, honestly. I think it was like a double or triple overtime game. And honestly, if you look back, like with San Diego State, like the warning signs were there before the Mountain West title game. I remember like they had probably the best one score luck I've seen since 2015 Iowa. And then you saw in the title game too. I mean, they even almost lost to UNLV when they were still winless. So yeah, I mean, definitely like a lot of parity in the Mountain West Western Division. As for this year's outlook, Dac, I mean, San Jose State took kind of a step back. And there's a lot of heavy hitters still in the Mountain West Western Division. I mean, especially Fresno State with Jake Haener going to Washington, then deciding to come back. I know you probably hated hearing that news. And then as well with Hawaii having a not toxic coach anymore and some young energy with our friend Brock at the Brotherhood with Timmy Chang. So where do you see San Jose State kind of, I guess, landing in the Mountain West this year?
Now, since our squad was basically injected with a lot of transfers that can make a lot of impact, I feel like we're going to do a lot better than we did last year. Because, of course, last year we had so much injuries. And I believe, like, of course, I didn't really look into it too much, but I believe a lot of people on the San Jose State forum were talking about how our defensive line was basically non-existent last year, how everybody was injured. So, yeah, of course, you like to use injuries as an excuse, but I feel like with our team coming back a lot healthier, upgrading the wide receiver position with our two transfers from Nevada. Of course, if you didn't hear about Cooks and Lockhart, I believe that'll just give whoever our starting quarterback is, whether it's Cordero or Nash or Woods or whoever it is. I believe just the increase of weapons in our team will actually give us like a better record than the year before. And what else were you mentioning? Just that's what I would.
I guess placement, but I guess while we're on the topic, like out of the Mountain West Bowl games, like where would you want to see I guess the San Jose State land, either as a great destination or I guess like opponent wise?
Hey, I'll be honest with you. Beggars can't be choosers. I'd take any bowl game, and like just as long as we get bowl eligible, I'd take it. I feel like that's just the main goal right now, just to add to Coach Brennan's resume. And yeah, because of course, I don't remember what the specific number was, but bowl games are scarce here in San Jose State. So if we can become bowl eligible yet again this year, I'd be happy enough for that.
Yeah, man, hopefully so. It's not whenever you're not a Power Five team that has some sort of like, brand, even if you get to like, it's not always a guarantee, right? So it's like, hopefully you guys can make that. Definitely deserve it. I know Omar and I always love, emphasizing all the group of five schools and all that. And I mean, it's, if any conference is deserving of that Power Five designation that's outside of there, it's probably the Mountain West. But yeah, man, you guys deserve it. So, man, I obviously we're a football podcast, and this is definitely football heavy. But kind of a two-part question for you. Outside of football, what's your favorite sport to attend? And also, have you gone to any golf tournaments, matches, whatever they call it, in the mask? Because I would love to see that.
All right, so it's gonna be a hard question because I always tell people that I just love supporting Spartan athletics as well, like just in general. The most convenient events for me to attend is basketball games because, of course, the student dorms are literally just a 2-minute walk away from the arena. So of course I think I had perfect attendance. Actually, no, I missed one game for basketball, and that's kind of bugging me this entire time. But basketball is definitely high energy, even though our basketball team doesn't really have the best record right now. I think we're on the come up, and I definitely love the energy that comes around it. One underrated sport that I started watching this year was volleyball. Like I had no idea how much energy was in that little building. But like each time our volleyball team plays, like bro, trust me, they've made a new volleyball fan out of me. And another one that I think is underrated is gymnastics. Just watching them tumble around and do these types of tricks that you yourself would wish you could do, and it's crazy how much energy there is in gymnastics as well. So I really don't have a set answer for that first question, but actually I'll take that back. I think basketball would probably be one of my favorite sports outside of football to watch. And as for the second part of your question for the golf, I actually did show up to a golf showdown between San Jose State and Stanford. I believe it was an hour away, and I just took the bus going over there because, of course, I didn't want to spend money on that gas. So yeah, just the golf one was a tough viewing experience because I did not know. I personally didn't know how much walking was involved in golf. If you don't have a golf cart, oh my goodness, you gotta walk so long. Unfortunately, we dropped that match to Stanford, but I think it was a good experience. I got to see what you don't see on TV whenever you're watching golf, and yeah, so maybe I'll show up to more golf events in the future.
And you weren't kidding about gymnastics being a lifelong Gator fan, because that's where all my family went to, and the success that they've had in gymnastics this year, and seeing highlights on Twitter and whatnot. Like, man, it really is like a lot of energy, and people actually show up a lot. So I'm sure you stand out no matter how big the crowd is, but probably especially at golf and volleyball and some of the smaller ones like that, especially, man. But that's awesome. You go to those, and man, taking an hour-long bus ride for that's dedication. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so I guess moving on to this one's my last question, and comes from, I guess, a fan perspective too. So just as a Mountain West, I guess being the Mountain West, there's like tons of great I guess destinations. Our old friend Scott really marveled at all the great destinations that the Mountain West has. So do you have like a favorite road trip destination among the Mountain West schools? Like is it like the Big Roomba out in Vegas, or I don't know if Hawaii counts as a road trip in all technicalities, but what's your favorite Mountain West? I guess the one Mountain West place that you love to visit or want to visit.
All right, yeah. So this year I'm actually planning to try and travel with the football team to actually visit these destinations. Because of course, this is my first year. I didn't go to away games this year. But it is a good question because there's so many good locations out here on the Mountain West Conference. First, old favorite of mine is going down to San Diego, going down to SoCal. Just meeting with people I know, and just really good scenery that's down there. And one thing I'm actually excited about is going back out east towards like those mountain states, with like whether it's Utah, and you already know that they've got a good view down there over there. Of course, going over to Wyoming, which is close to Nebraska, so I'm kind of familiar with that area as well, and the Colorado states as well. Just I don't know, it's a beautiful conference. You're right about how there's so many good destinations over here that anybody would want to visit. So definitely, if you ask me that again in like 2 years, I'd give you a good answer for which is my actual favorite. But as of now, yeah, like I want to visit literally every single campus, and that's kind of my goal at the by the end of my college career, is to at least visit all Mountain West schools at least once and just take it all in. So yeah, I I don't have like a set favorite that I actually want to visit immediately. So yeah.
Yeah, and some of these destinations like kind of build up, I guess, like some sort of, I guess, urban legends too. Like Laramie, Wyoming's been called Laradice on this podcast before. And I'm kind of curious as to why now. So kudos to the Wyoming tourism board now for I guess gaining one more interested party. But yeah, I mean that sounds great for sure. Honestly, like I mean, it's hard to choose. Like, I mean, of course, like when you're planning trips in the Mountain West, like it's pick your poison, except for Hawaii. Honestly, Hawaii, it takes probably like a couple years in advance to sort of like plan for that trip and kind of budget for it because it's Hawaii. But absolutely, I mean, I would love to see your journeys to all the stadium or all the campuses in the Mountain West.
Sorry, my screen, my mouse wasn't dragging. Yeah, man, you should get with our other friend of the show, CFP Campus Tours. Man, definitely meet up sometime and do that.
Another Bay Area guy right there.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. No, he's awesome, and always enjoy seeing his tours of all that. Man, the I think it's SDSU getting the new stadium too. That's gonna be really good. So, man, I've been looking at some of the plans of that. Man, it's gonna be legit. So definitely visit that before you head out. Hopefully, it's done before you graduate. So,
Sure.
Yeah,
that's
man.
Definitely one of my top destinations as well.
Oh, for sure. No, man, my last question. Most famous, whether they're with SJSU or not, most famous athlete, coach, whoever that's recognized you at a sporting event, came up for a fist bump or whatnot.
Oh, I know it was at the Mountain West tournament. I believe it was Calais Campbell, who was
Okay.
an NFL player. He gave me a fist bump while he was going back in. I was like, I'll starstruck over there. At a baseball game, I forgot who it was. I wasn't in that wouldn't count actually. Never mind. Scratch that last part. But yeah, definitely going to the Mountain West tournament, I met a lot of new people, and Calais Campbell was one of those people. I was like, oh my goodness. I of course I recognized him immediately, of course, because he stood out. He's a big dude. So, and of course I stood out immediately as well because I was only full in the dang arena with a duck mask on. So yeah, so as he was walking by, giving me a fist bump. So I was definitely glad to actually get that.
Calais Campbell was not on my bingo board for that, to say the least. So that's awesome.
Who other names were you expecting? Like,
I don't know who I was expecting, but it wasn't Calais Campbell.
Yeah. I did not expect him to be at a basketball event. I tell you that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Man, maybe at a football event, but he's got his own stuff going on during that. So, yeah, man, that's awesome. I love that.
Well, I think I don't have any more questions, Dac. This is amazing, honestly. I mean, fans like you will make college football great. Just like people just, I guess, putting themselves out there for the game we love. I mean, not just college football, but college sports as well. Because I mean, sure, we're a college football podcast, but like, I mean, all the other like Olympic sports get overshadowed in the grand scheme of college football. So thank you for coming on, and hopefully you'll inspire one of our listeners to put themselves out there and create their own persona.
Yeah, that's kind of my goal. It's like if I could just get one more person to go to a San Jose State event, whether it's a student or a kid at home, and something like that, I think I did my goal. Just who knows? Maybe that one person that I get into the event will become a super fan like me, and I feel like that's the beauty in college sports. Just the fact that something like something so little, like just attending a university, can just start your obsession with the program and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd like to say thanks for having me for that.
Thank you. I gotta say though, I mean, for me, you've inspired me a bit, but for the teams that I like, it's kind of hard to wear chainmail to an Army football game, and I don't think dressing as a Crusader is politically correct in this day and age. So
I got you. That's true. You just gotta find a way. Whether it's as you see, like I said, I would love to dress as a Spartan, but I got no idea where the duck thing came from. So yeah.
yeah, you're right about that. Jackson, you have anything else to say?
Dac, you've been so generous with your time, man. I appreciate you coming on, man, and definitely looking forward to seeing you on my TV really late at night or really early on Sunday, depending on the time. So thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Thank you, Dac, again. And as always, Jackson and I will be back for some more content later this summer. But until next time, everyone, peace, love, and soul.
Stay blessed. Get the bread. Y'all see that?